Now we're going to look at one more control, the PictureBox. It's under Common Controls, and it's a good way to display an image. So there's just a picture box here we can drag up, and it's just a box which we can load an image into. If you go under Properties, there's just an image property here, and we can load that in. We can either load from resources, or we can import a file. So we can either grab a local file or an image, for example, and have it display, or use the project resource file. And again, it just displays an image. So the project resource file is a special area within your project where Visual Studio will group different resources, specifically like images and sounds and movies and that sort of stuff, media and things like that, in a special format for you to use and refer to. So first we're going to look at this without using the resources, and then we'll look at using this with those. I already have a couple radio buttons here, radio button 1, 2, 3. I'm going to program those so that they load in the image files as we go. So I'm going to go in Windows Explorer here and grab my image files, which are stored in a different directory. I'm going to copy those and then go back to my projects. I'm going to go into this project. I'm going to go into into the folder for the project. And right now I'm not going to specify a full path, so I'm going to put these in the same area as executable. And since I'm running this in debug mode, I'm going to go into bin, debug, and paste the folders here. So in this folder is the exe for the program that I'm making. And so as long as the images are in that same folder, I don't have to specify a full path name. If you want, you can specify a full path name, but then it kind of limits being able to move your project from one machine to another or one location to the other. Okay, so now I've got those in, and again here I can see I'm in debug mode. There's two different versions, debug and release, and I'm in debug mode. So that's why I'm saving things into the debug folder. I'm going to click on this radio button here, and I already have something that I'm updating the text box. And I'm just going to add a command here to change, so that it's PictureBox 1 is named by PictureBox, and there's a load command method that I can call to load a file or a resource in there. You can actually specify a full URL there. So I'm going to, again, always load PictureBox 1. That's my only PictureBox, but I've got a couple different, I just got some images of some a couple dice images, and so I'm just going to change those. So now when I run this and I click on the radio buttons, it updates this text as before, but it also changes this image to be the right image for this. Now let's look at doing this with resources real quick. Resources are the preferred way. Again, you can load these things right from files as long as you either specify the full URL or path name, or put your files right in the folder with the exe file. But you can also load these up into resources. So I'm going to go back into my PictureBox here. I'm going to go into images here and open up the little select resource file here. And I'm going to click on project resource file. So this is a special resource file that's out there, and it'll Microsoft will encode all of our resources in this resource file. So that they cannot be modified separately. One thing nice about that is that it prevents users and stuff from modifying those images. So now I'm going to import some resources, and again I'm just going to grab these images, open those up, and import them into my project. And then say OK. So under resources in our project, we'll see these images here, and in fact I can then set the image from there. Now as far as changing this in the radio button, the code is going to be a little different. So let me open up this radio button, and so rather than this picture load, let me show you how. Okay, so now I'm going to comment out my previous load event and type in Again, we're doing it with PictureBox 1, but rather than calling the load method, I'm going to just set the image attribute. So there's an image attribute. And now I'm going to grab something from the resources. To do that, I have to go under Properties, and then Resources. And when I hit that, assuming I've imported the resources properly, I should see my resources here, and I can just click on one of those. And I can do the same thing for my other radio buttons here, instead of loading these. What's nice about using resources also is those tend to be preloaded, and it's not as resource intensive as loading a file in and doing a file access with these resource files. So I'm going to load in dice 2 and 3 from the resources and then try to run this. So when I run this, I can click on my different buttons, radio buttons, and it'll load in the resources. So it's similar to, again, the image, the PictureBox.load, which loads a file or URL. But again, like here, I have these fixed resources. It's better to put them in the resource area, and I can just say set the image directly. So PictureBox1.image, and I can just set it equal to properties.resources, and then select the resource that I want in there. So that ends the use of these picture boxes.